the divine paradox, why those in darkness are often the closest to the light. Have you ever wondered why you feel different, like you don't belong, even in a room full of people? You walk through life with a weight on your shoulders that no one else seems to notice. But here's the secret. That weight may not be a burden. It may be a divine gift. I know it sounds contradictory, even cruel. But what if I told you that being one of the dark chosen ones is not a curse? It's a spiritual calling, a hidden contract signed before birth, long before you ever walked this earth. And within this darkness, there are 7 secret gifts from God. Gifts that only reveal themselves through suffering, isolation, longing, and your relentless search for meaning. You're not broken. You're being forged. And I want you to really sit with that idea. The first sign you're one of the dark chosen ones is the overwhelming sense of alienation. You feel like a stranger in your own life. But that's not a flaw. It's a compass. Alienation is the soul whispering that the world you were born into is not the one you're meant to live in. Most people numb themselves to that whisper. But you listened, and that's why you suffer. But it's also why you're waking up. Can you remember the first time you questioned everything? That moment wasn't just curiosity, it was the first spark of divine rebellion. A refusal to sleepwalk through a life you didn't choose. That's your first gift, the awakening of inner rebellion. It looks like darkness, but it's the start of your light. Next comes the gift of sacred loneliness. Yes, loneliness. The kind that tears you apart, but also strips away every illusion. You learn that being alone doesn't mean being lost. It means being found by something greater. When you are alone long enough, you start hearing the voice of God in silence. Not the voice of religion, not the voice of dogma, but the voice of raw, unfiltered truth. The kind of truth that breaks you open and remakes you. The kind that tells you, you were never alone. You were just being prepared. In your solitude, you become a vessel for divine wisdom. And that's something that cannot be taught in temples, churches, or ashrams. It can only be learned in the fire of your own soul. The third gift is the burden of emotional depth. You don't just feel things, you absorb them. The sadness in others, the pain in the world, the weight of unspoken things. Every room you walk into, you carry more than your share. Most would call this sensitivity a weakness. The world tries to harden you, but you somehow never let it. That's your strength. Your extraordinary empathy is not just a trait. It's a spiritual technology. It allows you to see what others miss, to feel what others ignore, and to heal what others deny. But I must ask you, have you ever wondered why your heart breaks so easily and yet never fully breaks? That's because your heart is not fragile. It is open, and openness is the gateway to divine connection. Then comes the fourth gift, the shadow mirror. You attract broken people. You reflect their pain. Sometimes you wonder, why do I always become the healer, the fixer, the one who carries everyone else? But here's the truth most never realize. You are a mirror, not a sponge. You were never meant to carry their pain, only to reflect it back at them with love. Your life has become a sacred mirror for others to see themselves clearly. That's why you trigger people. That's why they project onto you. You're not just a person to them, you're a portal. A portal to the truth they're not ready to face. And because of that, you often walk alone. But remember this, even Jesus walked alone before he rose. The fifth gift is the sacred wound. Every dark chosen one has one. a deep defining pain usually from childhood, something that never fully healed. And guess what? It's not supposed to. That wound is your entry point to the divine. It is the crack through which grace pours in. It's the thorn that keeps you humble, grounded, human. Without it, you'd forget the mission. You'd get lost in ego, success, distraction. But with it, you remain tethered to the truth. That healing is not about perfection. It's about transformation. Your wound is your teacher, your compass, your altar. Have you ever blessed your pain? Try it. Close your eyes and thank your wound. You may feel tears. That's the soul finally being seen. Sixth comes the gift of spiritual contradiction. You are both light and shadow. You crave peace, but you're drawn to chaos. You seek love, but you isolate. You want to belong, but you rebel. This contradiction is not confusion. It's divine polarity. You carry multitudes within you because your soul was forged in many lifetimes, across many dimensions. And so you balance between worlds, between the seen and unseen, between the physical and the metaphysical. You're not broken, you're multidimensional. And the world is only just beginning to understand what that means. Most people want you to choose, be this or that. But you were born to integrate. You are the bridge. And bridges are never at home in one place. How pain transforms into power when you accept your divine role. There comes a moment in every dark chosen one's life where the suffering becomes too much. You either collapse or you awaken. Most people collapse because the pain seems senseless. But you, if you're still watching, still listening, you're not most people. You felt the fire, but something inside you refuses to be reduced by it. That refusal is not pride, it is prophecy. Because your soul remembers something your mind forgot. Pain is not the end. Pain is the invitation, an initiation, a sacred alchemy. You are not being punished. You are being purified. And this purification reveals another secret gift from God, the power of transmutation. You are the kind of soul who can turn trauma into wisdom, heartbreak into art, loss into leadership. The world calls it resilience, but in truth it is divine alchemy, and only the dark chosen ones carry it. But here's the paradox. To activate this alchemy, you must first stop resisting the pain. You must feel it fully, without flinching, without numbing, without running. Most people avoid their wounds like they're poison, but you must sit with them like they're prophets, because they are. Every pain you've ever endured carries a sacred message, a key, a map. But only if you dare to stay long enough to read it. This is the second layer of your spiritual gift, emotional mastery through surrender. True strength is born not from avoidance, but from presence. Can you be present with your despair? Can you listen to the grief without needing to fix it? Can you watch your ego die and not interfere? That is the sacred work. That is the mark of the dark chosen. The next gift waiting in the shadows is vision beyond illusion. You see through things, through people, through systems. While others are hypnotized by the surface, you're already decoding the deeper pattern. And this is not something you learned. It's something you are. You might have been called too intense, too observant, or paranoid. But in truth, you are a seer, a pattern reader, a revealer of the unseen. You can sense lies in smiles. You spot manipulation in charm. You feel the energy of a room before anyone says a word. This gift can feel like a burden, because it isolates you. But it is also your protection, your compass, your sword. And it's why you can't follow the crowd, even when you try. You are not born to blend in. You are born to illuminate the unseen. But with that vision comes another gift, and it's more difficult. It's the gift of soul fatigue. Because when you see so much, feel so much, and know so much, it's easy to become weary. You've likely said it before, I'm tired, but not just physically. I'm tired in my soul. That's not because you're weak. It's because you're ancient. You've lived many lives. You've carried many worlds. And in this life, your soul chose a heavy mission. So yes, you get tired. But that fatigue is not a flaw. It is a signpost. It tells you when to rest, when to pull back, when to retreat into silence. The world glorifies hustle, but you are here to embody sacred rest. That is your next divine gift, the wisdom of energetic conservation. You don't need to do more. You need to do wisely. You are not here to burn out. You are here to burn true. Now let's talk about creative power. You may not see yourself as an artist, but your life is art. Every dark chosen one is a hidden creator. Why? Because when you've carried pain, you gain access to dimensions of beauty that others can't reach. You write, speak, build, sing, design, not just to express, but to heal. Your creativity is not just talent, it is medicine. And when you create from your wound, you create from God. Whether you're building a business, writing a poem, or simply creating safe space for others, your creativity is a divine channel. Most people use creativity to impress, but you use it to transform. That is a rare and sacred thing. So don't neglect it. Don't wait to be perfect. Just create. Let your story become someone else's survival guide. Another gift hidden in the shadows is spiritual discernment. This is not the same as judgment. It's deeper. It's knowing what's true without needing evidence. It's feeling when something's off, even when everyone else is clapping. You've probably walked away from situations that looked perfect on the outside, jobs, relationships, communities, because something in your gut whispered no. That whisper is divine. It's your inner compass, your soul GPS. And it gets louder the more you listen. But most people ignore it. They follow logic, comfort, or popularity. You follow truth, even when it costs you, even when it isolates you. And that's why life has tested you so fiercely. Because you are being trained to be unshakable. You are not here to follow trends. You are here to anchor truth. And finally, in this part of our journey, we arrive at one of the most misunderstood gifts, the death of identity. You've probably gone through multiple ego deaths already. Who you were 5 years ago, gone bone. The beliefs you once held sacred, shattered. The roles you clung to, dissolved. And yet, each time you die, something more authentic is born. This constant shedding is painful. You lose people. You lose parts of yourself. But what if I told you this death is your rebirth? You are not meant to build one identity and guard it for life. You are meant to evolve, to become, to expand. God is not done with you, and that's why the old you had to die. The dark chosen ones are not statues. We are rivers, always flowing, always changing, always moving closer to the source. Before we go further, ask yourself a question so deep it might shake you. What parts of me am I still grieving, but were never meant to survive the next level of my calling? Sit with that. Breathe with that, because in the next part, we go even deeper. the hidden throne, rising in power without betraying your soul. There comes a time when every dark chosen one is called to rise, not in arrogance, not in ego, but in quiet, unstoppable authority. You've wandered through the shadows, you've been broken open, and now comes the most sacred, dangerous, and divine phase of your journey, stepping into your power without losing your soul. This is the moment most fear, because power has been so deeply corrupted in the world that many of us associate it with greed, manipulation, fame, or control. But true spiritual power is none of those things. It is not loud. It is not boastful. It is the silent force that reshapes reality from within. You are being asked to sit on a throne that cannot be seen and rule a kingdom that exists beyond the five senses. And the first requirement for that throne is humility. Humility is not self-denial. It is self-awareness. It is knowing exactly who you are and where your power comes from. It is choosing to serve rather than dominate. It is remembering that all gifts come from Source and all power is borrowed. You, as a dark chosen one, are being entrusted with a kind of influence that cannot be measured in followers, money, or applause. Your impact happens in the unseen. A single conversation with you can change someone's destiny. A single moment of your presence can shift a room's entire frequency, but only when you walk in humility. The moment you try to own the power, it slips through your fingers. Because this power does not come from you. It flows through you, and that's what makes it eternal. But to hold that power, you must pass through the next fire, ego seduction. As you begin to rise, temptations will come, not just physical, but spiritual. People will praise you, opportunities will appear, influence will grow. And in those moments, your soul must ask, am I rising in truth or am I rising in performance? Many start from truth, but end in performance. They become addicted to applause, to being seen as spiritual, to being admired. But the true dark chosen one knows that visibility is not the goal. Alignment is. And sometimes, alignment means disappearing. It means walking away from what sparkles but is soulless. It means turning down platforms, partnerships, or promises that would compromise your integrity. Because what you gain by betraying your soul will never be worth what you lose. And here lies perhaps the most difficult gift of all, the gift of sacred integrity. No one talks about how lonely it is to live in integrity, how many doors you have to close, how many people you have to disappoint, how many dreams you must bury because they no longer match your vibration. But integrity is the soil where divine power grows. Without it, everything you build will eventually collapse. You must be unwavering in your yes and your no. You must be willing to disappoint the world to remain loyal to your soul. That is not weakness. That is not weakness. That is spiritual royalty. The world doesn't need more influencers. It needs more pillars. And you are being groomed to be one. Not because you're perfect, but because you're true. There is another secret truth you must remember. Your energy is your currency. You don't need to chase, prove, or promote yourself constantly. When you are in alignment, your energy speaks before you do. It enters the room before your body. It lingers long after you've left. And that energy is cultivated in silence, solitude, and spiritual discipline, not in chows, not in clout. Every time you choose stillness over stimulation, truth over trend, depth over attention, you are sharpening your frequency. You must become a lighthouse, not a searchlight. Let your energy be so anchored, so clean, so pure, that those meant for you find you without you having to chase them. That is not passivity. That is divine magnetism, and it is one of your final gifts. And now we reach the crown jewel of this journey, the gift of divine purpose. Everything you've walked through, the pain, the delays, the loss, the isolation, was leading you here, to your assignment, your soul's task in this lifetime. Your purpose is not a job. It is not a single project. It is a frequency you carry that heals the world in ways you may never fully see. You may be a teacher, a coach, an artist, a parent, a healer, or simply a presence in someone's life that awakens them. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your being. Your purpose is not always loud. It is not always clear, but it is always working. Every time you choose truth, you activate it. Every time you speak love in the face of hate, you live it. And every time you refuse to betray your essence, you fulfill it. So I'll ask you now, not as a guru, not as a teacher, but as a mirror, what would it look like if you stopped hiding your power? If you stopped apologizing for your depth, your insight, your vision? If you stopped shrinking just to make others comfortable? You have walked through the fire. You have earned the crown, but will you wear it? Not for ego, not for dominance, but for service, for alignment, for the ones watching you in silence, waiting to see if it's safe to be themselves too. You are not just the student anymore. You are the embodiment of the path. You are the dark light, the sacred rebel, the hidden royal, the bridge between heaven and earth. And now, it's time to rise. This is the end of this video journey, but the beginning of your rebirth. So I leave you with one final question that only your soul can answer. Are you ready to stop running from your darkness and finally own your divine light? Even now, after all we've uncovered, I sense a lingering hesitation in your spirit. And that hesitation is sacred. It means you're awake. Because those who are truly ready to embody their divine role do not rush into it with arrogance. They pause, they tremble, they question. That's how you know it's real. The final evolution of a dark chosen one isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the programming, the trauma, the masks you wore just to survive. And now you stand at a precipice. One foot still in the old world of fear, the other in the unknown realm of divine embodiment. The bridge between the two is trust. Not blind trust in the world, but radical trust in your own soul's intelligence. It knows what it's doing. Your pain was never random. Your longing was never delusional. Your visions weren't fantasy. They were instructions. And now you must decide, will you keep intellectualizing your power, or will you live it? Real spiritual power is not found in rituals, crystals, or even words. Those are tools. The power is in your presence. It's in how you walk into a room. It's in how you hold space for others when they break. It's in how you stay anchored when the world screams for your reaction. It's in how you choose love when it's inconvenient. You don't need to preach to be a prophet. You don't need a stage to be a leader. You don't need a robe or a title to be divine. You just need to be real. Realness is rare. Authenticity is a revolution. And when you choose to be real in a world that rewards performance, you become medicine. You become a permission slip for others to come home to themselves. And that right there is why you were chosen, not to dominate, but to restore. Not to rule the world, but to remind it of its soul. So I leave you with this. Your life is not small. Your darkness is not shameful. Your journey is not meaningless. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are becoming. And this becoming is not a straight line. It is a spiral. A sacred spiral that returns again and again to the same wounds, but with new eyes, new wisdom, and deeper grace. There is no final arrival, no finish line. There is only deeper embodiment, deeper truth, deeper love. And if you can surrender to that, then you are not just a survivor of the dark, you are a master of it. A weaver of light within shadow, a divine contradiction, a living oracle. You are the answer you've been praying for. So rise, not with noise, but with knowing. The world is waiting for your quiet revolution. And God never stopped watching.